too much into detail, I'm sorry. I was not quite sure which would be the right parts to create here. Yeah, so that's also the project structure once more. Yeah, EWT means Erwerbstätige, and for every type of traffic, for buses and trains, we've looked at how many kilometers are being driven, how does the employment, how's the employment now, and how will it develop, and that will give us a multiplication numbers that we've come up with. So here's the result. No, that's not the result yet. That's the basis in 2015. This is the purple is services. The green is vehicles. So to give just a brief idea already, that production of vehicles is not all of the employment. There's also a lot of employment in the service of the vehicles, and then the rest is fuels and infrastructure, is not even 10%. So yes, indeed, there's a lot of employment out of these 4.4 million employees in the mobility system, and here you can see where these employees are. Yeah, very strong here. This is where I come from, and that's why I work in this field as well, because it's so important in our region, and there's always this but the employees argument, really annoying. And yeah, it's 30 Schwerpunktregion, 30 automotive cluster regions that we've come up with. Now come the results. Sorry for this rather big methodological explanation, but the numbers that I'm presenting now, you can only understand them if you have the background, because it's all statistics, and I want to avoid but you know, it's your statistics, your assumptions, but yeah, I just wanted to say this is very scientifically based, and we're not owned by transportation companies or automotive companies. We're rather a free company to do this very scientifically. So this is the core result. You have on the left the current employment, about 3.5 million employed. It's not the 4.4 million. I think, yeah, the others are probably in the freight sector. So if you look at the sums only, you will see that if we do a sustainable mobility system based on an electric road, we're increasing the mobility-bound employment in Germany by, oh no, I thought it was, it'll be in more details, but we're going up by around over 300,000 employees. Whereas even if we put everything as much as we can on rails, we're still getting a net surplus. And the major difference is in the first line. That's the good news. The bad news is, yes, the car industry will suffer, even if it's only Germany where we're reducing, because there is so much service around the cars, which is going down heavily. And at least in the scenario on the right, very significantly, but also in the scenario in the middle, because as what you also have to know, an electric vehicle is much less complex. It has only about 10,000 parts, I think, whereas a combustion vehicle has about 40,000 pieces to produce. And of course, that's a lot of industry and employment bound to this simple fact. And yeah, the other numbers will be better shown on a different slide, so I'll skip them for now. But here's only the missing amount. Yeah, these are the other the freight employment. We've assumed a further increase of about 1% per year in ton kilometers, which results in an increase. Well, we haven't distinguished the two scenarios in this case, so we've just made this one scenario, assuming that employment will go up by about a third. Is that? Where's the employment here? Yeah, 300,000. Yeah, that's about a third. Yeah. So that's good news as well, because the reduction in employment that we're having in the passenger sector will be abgefedert, buffered. Thank you, buffered by the freight sector as well. So this compares the two scenarios in red and blue to the current status. As you can see, the vehicle production, the road vehicle production is going down in the two scenarios. Public transport is going up. Sharing is significantly increasing from more or less zero today to around up to 200,000 in the multimodality scenario. We also have a significant potential in cycling employment and well, digitalization. Yeah, we're not so optimistic about digitalization contributing significantly. And transport services are more or less on the same level, but also an increase in both scenarios. Yeah, here we have the net numbers. Up to 200,000 more employees in services. Oh yeah, on the top upper right, you have the saldo, the net increase. And on the upper left is the bad news part. Yes, we could have a reduction of up to minus 600,000 employees in Germany in the production sector. To relativize that, we've had a very important textile industry in Germany, and we did not try to save that. We tried to save it in the carbon and the coal industry. Not so sure that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, changes come. We just have to prepare for them. So this is just a different way to show what I've already explained, but in more detail. So yeah, maybe the interesting part for you will be the public transport sector, because I assume most of you are working in more interested in public transportation numbers. So not a huge changes here, but you can see that it's very service oriented, and the differences between the two scenarios are not very high. The big differences are indeed in the development and production of vehicles, and in freight traffic, we have this increase of 200,000, which is, as I said, buffering the net decrease of employment. I've integrated a bit of a case study, which is on bus transport, where I'm going more into details. Oh yeah, by the way, if you're interested in more details on a particular subject, you can either look at the report or just write me an email, because we haven't put everything in the reports, and there are still reports to come, but if you ever have an urgent question, I can surely come up with some numbers for you. Here we have these 4 different types of settlements that we have, from N being urbanized regions to N1, the ones being urbanized regions, and the 4s being the rural regions. And when the 3 scenarios reference street multimodality, as always in that order. And you can see that in the street-based scenario we have very high increases compared to the reference scenario, very high increases in bus employment. Whereas in the multimodality scenario we don't, because we have rail services instead of bus services. And we're expecting buses to, not the big buses that we know today, but different sized buses, which will be relatively employment intense, to be necessary for a sustainable mobility system.
And then they're all electric buses?
Or, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, yeah, fuel cells are electric buses, but I'm not sure if we've gone into the detail of whether that will be battery or fuel cell yet, but I think we will analyze that in a future parts of the project. Yes, please. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions.
Okay, yes, sir. Autonomous shuttles, how did you look at that? I see it's down there, like automatic buses without drivers. Did you look at the impacts of that?
Yeah. Yes, what we did was we tried to figure out how much employment is needed for autonomous driving by 2035, which we can estimate rather, well, that's difficult to say. Well, we have a very good idea of what's coming in terms of autonomous driving, because we've also looked at autonomous driving, a different project for the Ministry of Transportation. So they were also interested in the impact of connected and autonomous driving, and within that study we've screened a lot of literature which we could use for estimating here, and so we've come up with where is the employment there. So you always, for every autonomous vehicle, you have a certain number of employees that need to make sure that the vehicle still operates if there's something in the street that it doesn't know. I mean, if you've looked at the recent Berta drive, there's a lot of situations that vehicles won't be able to handle, even by 2035, most probably. It's such a complex system that there will always be people that have to be ready to intervene, and there's always a need to clean the vehicles, to maintain the vehicles, and we've set up numbers, indicators for each kilometer mile sort of employment that will be needed for those vehicles. Yes.
Did you do any research in the qualification of the jobs which will fall away and which will increase? If you see an increase in kept jobs and other stuff that is easy ending on a low qualification level, whereas high qualification jobs in the car industry are supposed to go?
Not yet. Yes, we've only looked at how much employment it is, not what type of employment, but that will definitely be one of the later results. Once we know how much will be in what sector, we can say which qualifications are needed for each of these sectors. Yeah.
Do you include domestic airplanes or international traffic in all your figures, or is it only
No.
on the ground?
Yeah, it's
land-based
Yeah.
in Germany?
Yeah, it's land-bound.
Not
No, nothing
out of the
international.
country.
No. But our dynamic system could basically be used to calculate this on a European level as well. But for now, the financing comes from the national institutions, so that's what we've looked at. And plus, of course, there's a lot of research to be done. Where are the factories? Where is what kind of employment? And data is very difficult to compare as well, statistics from one country to another, so it would be rather complicated to do the same analysis for other countries. But the system, the economic system model that we have a European version which we use for consulting for the European Commission as well. Because we're also working on the corridors, the transportation corridors going through Europe. Yeah, that just by the way.
I think it's important that we spend time for further questions. So if you,
Okay.
if you have a few slides left with details, please let us see them. But let's have
Okay.
time for discussion.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, buckle up. I'll flip through the next slides, and if we need to dig more into detail, I'll go into them. So this is more about bus transport. Yeah, you see it's a net increase in the street scenario and a rather strong decrease in the other scenario, because this has much more rail, and rail is less employment intense. Yeah, and this is what how we looked at the autonomous vehicles as well. So what services are in the administration and the technical services and the driving for each of the and these are the maps that we've produced from this analysis. On the left you have the street scenario, and on the right the multimodality scenario, and one in absolute numbers and one in relative numbers. The relative numbers are probably more interesting because you don't have the map of the current situation to compare with. So there are in the street-based scenarios there you see these red spots where you have significant losses in employment to be expected. Whereas in the multimodality scenarios you have less of these spots, but the decreases will be stronger, which I'll show in a different one. Yeah, here. This is to show the importance of the so this is not related to the one before, but I'll have another one explaining more at that point. This is to show the importance of the freight sector. Without freight, the map doesn't look so bad in the freight. But yes, actually, if you look only at passenger transport, yes, there will be quite some impact on certain regions, and quite a few regions actually. Yes, and this shows where the the potentials are from between the two scenarios. So, for example, net employment will significantly increase in the county of Böblingen, which is next to Stuttgart. Whereas in the scenario, in the multimodality scenario, you have very big increases in Berlin, which is still a rail vehicle production area, and very big losses in regions, in car regions like Kassel and Ingolstadt, which are combustion engine.
Chancellor has a real rate of industry. But how do you come to Böbling as an increase? Because that is a sub-supplier to the car industry.
Yeah, this is the counter.
Yes, but where is the increase? Why is it
Electro streets.
Oh, yeah.
Daimler.
Well, they're developing vehicles, so there's a lot of development in that region.
But in the other scenarios, I am from Heilbronn. Look at Heilbronn on the left side. Heilbronn means Neckarsulm, Audi. Means many component establishments. If you put street mobility, Heilbronn is among the winners. If you build less cars and more public transport, Heilbronn will be among the biggest losers. That's the difference between electro streets and public transport and sustainable bicycles and so on.
Exactly.
Question.
Darf ich in Deutsch schimpfen?
Ja.
Gut. Wir reden hier von der zukünftigen Elektromobilität meistens auf der Straße. Wir wollen ja eigentlich reden davon, dass wir auf die Bahn wollen. Aber das, was auf der Straße abläuft und geplant ist und in den Köpfen rumschwirrt, ist ja Elektromobilität hoch X. Woher kommt der Strom für diese Elektromobilität? Woher kommen die Batterierohstoffe? Ist das mit in den Untersuchungen eingegangen? Weil ohne dass ihr gleichzeitig kämpft bei dem dicken Peter Altmaier, dass der aufhört mit seiner Energiebremse in der erneuerbaren Energie, werden wir nichts erreichen. Das war mein Schimpfen.
Yeah, das kann
Wir
ich
sind
sehr gut.
alles ausbaden.
Yeah, I can. Yes, absolutely. That is a very valid argument concerning electromobility, but not the employment. We've only looked at the employment results. And,
Direkter Zusammenhang. Okay.
Yeah. No? Okay. But we can discuss the bigger picture as soon as we're through with the last few slides. We're almost through actually. This is an important point to raise because our client complained about, how can you be so sure, because you don't even know where the companies will set up their factories for electromobility. And so we have to point to the fact that this is not, we don't have a glass bowl where everything is in. We've just looked at what's now and what can be deduced from the decisions that have already been taken. Of course, political decisions from one ministry or the other can significantly change the picture for one county or the other, but that is what we can tell now. And also, there can be global issues as well. We might decide, global issues like we might decide to not produce battery cells in Germany, or we will decide to produce that. That is not sure yet. That is still a matter of political negotiation. So here's the conclusions. We have a net increase if we build up a more sustainable mobility system. If we do it on the streets, based on electrification and digitalization, the automotive industry will be very stable. If we, however, we do it based on a multimodality system, there will be bigger changes and a heavy impact on the automotive industry. But the net numbers are also very dependent on the development of freight traffic. And yeah, what you saw on the maps is that the structure, the change of the structure, it depends will be very different on the different counties. Oh yeah, because the two scenarios are also based on urbanization issues. Some counties will have significant changes, well, problems, let's name it. Some regions will be having troubles of keeping their people there, which is already the case now, but which could be strongly the case in a multimodality based scenario, because there will be stronger tendency of urbanization, and the structure of employment will shift from production to services more in some regions than in others. I'm glad I had the privilege to spend some time in the United States, so I had the English vocabulary to go with this task. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.